In this video, I wanted to discuss why you will never be 100% free in this life. So, first, we need to discuss what freedom is. Freedom is essentially being able to choose your own choices, being able to choose your own path, which behaviors you would like to engage in, which you won't engage in, so on and so forth. Um, Freedom is when you are not being constrained by any force other than yourself on what you can do, right? That's pretty much it. If someone is limiting you, if someone's locked you in a room, so you can no longer escape the room, you can no longer go outside. Let's say you want to go outside, but you can't go outside because you're locked in the room, someone else locked you in. That's not freedom because some other force is restraining you and prohibiting what actions you can take and what choices you can make, right? Simple. And if there's no one constraining you and you can choose whatever you want to choose and you can do whatever you want to do, that's freedom. Very simple. And now, why you will never achieve 100% freedom in this life? Well, that's because you're not the only person that is alive and you're not the only person that exists. And your agenda is not the only agenda that is a part of this equation, right? See, what people don't understand is, right, they don't understand how radical absolute freedom is. Because in a sense, everyone is free. Like, by default, everyone is free. But you don't understand. Like, when I say that, you think, no, not everyone is free. Some people are free, some people aren't free. And the reason why you think that is because it does appear that some people aren't free. And in fact, yeah, some people aren't free. But that's because of the freedom of others. See, right now, what I just said, it might not make sense, but I'm going to explain it. Just stick with me for a bit. Absolute freedom is, in a sense, the equivalent to pure anarchy. It's pure anarchy. And this is why all these government systems and so on try so hard to control things, because and why people feel like they're being oppressed by the government, because in a sense it is, of course we don't want an authoritarian state and some fascist like um like you know one of those governments that oppresses its people, that like doesn't allow you to do anything. It takes away all your freedoms in the name of security, and it, and that's in a sense the direction that we've been moving towards, um, and we don't want that. But in a sense, to some degree, and that's like what I'm about to explain, but to the highest degree. So essentially, what I'm saying is that the government, in a sense, is part of their job to constrain the population and limit them to some degree. Why? So that there isn't anarchy. Because anarchy, whether you like to believe it or not, is actually counterproductive to civilization and society, right? You can't really create a society or a civilization in a place where there's anarchy. It just can't work. It's pure chaos. How are you going to create a society if it's just pure anarchy? It's impossible. You need some kind of order, right? So, and that's why, like, some of the largest expenditures of governments are police and armies, military, to be able to enforce the laws, because laws are just rules that we've made up, right? And they don't exist and they have no effect if they are not enforced. So they need to be enforced. So that's why they spend so much on all of this kind of stuff, the police and the armies and this and that, to be able to enforce these laws, right? And if it's done correctly and in a balanced way, then that's good. That's actually good for society, because then we can actually enforce certain law and order which will be beneficial to us all. I mean, you might think, oh, it will be better with no rules. But see, this is what I'm saying. You don't understand what that means. You don't actually understand what anarchy would be like. That would mean that someone could come, like, to your house or whatever, um, um, stab you 100 times, rape your wife, burn your house down, and there would be no consequence to that at all. That would mean that some other country could come and invade your country, like like enslave you for like just do the utmost like terrible things to you, and there will be no repercussions or anything like this. What do you think is preventing that? You've been born into this system, so it's like you're so oblivious to these things. You think it's just normal. You think like, these things don't happen to you just because of the goodness like of mankind. Like mankind wouldn't do that. No, mankind mankind has the potential to be good, but they also have the potential to be completely malicious and wicked. Right? Like there are many evil people out there who, the only reason why they're not doing evil things to you right now is because of these governing states that are preventing them and locking them in jail and all of these kinds of things. And because they're enforcing the law using force, like, to prevent the anarchy. But essentially, I'm going on a tangent right now. But essentially, what I'm saying is that pure freedom, absolute freedom, is like anarchy, as I've explained. And what that means is, see, this is where it gets a bit well, it seems like it's contradictory, but it's actually not. But it gets a bit paradoxical to where, look, I bet you've never thought of this. True freedom means, right? Let's just say everyone's free. You're saying, oh, everyone should be free. Everyone should be free. I should be free. You should be free. Everyone should be free, right? No enslavement and this and that. No one should be enslaved and no one should be this or that. But hear this. Did you think of this? If everyone was free, that means that that person is free to enslave you. He is free to do this to you, free to do that to you. See, this is what I'm saying. Everyone is free. At default level, everyone is free. But the reason why slavery and all of this stuff exists is specifically because of freedom. They are free to enslave you. Do you understand what I'm saying? You see? So, the problem is, right, that you are free to some degree. You are free to some degree, and you're also bound and enslaved to some degree. And to what degree changes over time, and it depends on very, like, multiple conditions, some of which are in your control, some of which are not in your control, right? But this is the cost that you pay for being inside of this society, for being a part of this society. Because, see, that's what I'm saying. You could only ever truly be 100% free if you were the only being in existence. That's the only way. The moment there's another being or multitude of other beings, then you will never be 100% free, because they are also partially free as well. And they also have their own agendas, and their agendas might conflict with yours. Let's say you're free and he's free, and there's 8 other people in the room that are free, but then one of them says, I'm free, I want to build a house, but I can't do that by myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a weapon, and then I'm going to use that to threaten these people and enslave them and make them build the house for me. And then I'm going to achieve my goal. And then see, you're going to be there and you're going to get enslaved. And now you're enslaved to him and saying, I'm not free anymore. Like, I'm not free. Everyone should be free. But you're only not free because you've been enslaved by that person who was free to enslave you. Do you get what I'm saying? See, freedom, right, encapsulates captivity as well. Like, freedom is an absolute. It also encapsulates its opposite without it contradicting itself. You see? Like, bondage, you can't say the same for bondage. You can't say that you're so bounded that you're free. No. But you can be so free that you become bounded. You see? Like, it's difficult for me to explain, but I hope you get the point by some of these examples I'm telling you. Like, I mean, I feel like if you have any kind of intelligence, you'll be able to follow what I've explained. Like, really think about it. Why is there slavery? Why does slavery exist? Why are there some people that aren't free to choose their actions, and they aren't even free to they're not even free to choose what they wear? Like, people in prison, they're not free to choose what they wear. They're not free to choose where they go. They're not free to choose what they do at what time. And why is that? See, it's partially because of what they done, and it's partially because of the society, because they committed a crime, or they themselves chose out of their own freedom to do a particular behavior. This particular behavior was deemed by the whole society as a consensus. They came together and agreed, that murdering someone is against the law. And that's good. We want murder to be against the law, because we don't want people going around killing each other over stupid things. You can't build a society like that. So we all came together, said murder is against the law. This person chose out of their own free will and their own freedom to commit this act, knowing full well the possible consequences. Then they got caught by the enforcers, right? Because everyone's free, and then we were free to create this law, and we were free to create a government, and we were free to create like enforcement to enforce the law and create the police and this and that. And then they came and took you and locked you in a cell and told you what time you can go sleep and what food you can eat and what clothes you can wear. You see, this is how it works. When everyone is totally free, actually what it leads to is bondage. But then see, this is what I'm saying, it's relative. It's relative. Everything in this dualistic plane is relative, as I've explained in many other videos. So you'll never be completely bound. It's impossible for you to ever be completely bound to where you can't choose anything at all, to where you can't it's genuinely impossible to be completely bound, like to be completely captive, to where there's not even the space to even choose one choice or make one decision or like control anything about your life. It's impossible. There's no possible state that you could be in. There's no power or enforcement in this existence that is powerful enough to bound you completely. It can bound you like to a very high degree. But you will always have some kind of choice. Like no matter how like powerful, big some authoritarian state gets, there will always be some kind of rebellion. There will never be 100% um, conformity and 100% what's the word, compliance. It's impossible for that to ever occur. It's impossible for there to ever be like for there to be some emperor or some king that like has complete control over everyone. Like how could that ever be possible? That's impossible. There can be a king or an emperor who has the most amount of control over the population in comparison to anyone else within that system. That's true. There might be one person who controls 50% of what occurs within the system, right? And then the person below them controls 25%, and then the person below them controls 10%, and then the person below them controls like 2%, and then all the peasants and the pawns at the bottom, they control 0.005%, like of what happens within society or within this system. Like they have very small like effects. They're just cogs in the machine, as they say. You're just part of the matrix. You're just a cog in the machine. You have very small effect on the system. And whereas there's the elites, they have much more effect on the system, but the elites can never have 100% control. Like, 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 come on, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's impossible. It's impossible for them to have 100% control. Like, they could, they could lock you to a chair or whatever. Like, they could do all kinds of things, but then they might not be able to control when you blink. See, even you being able to choose when you blink, that's something. And then they strap open your eyes, but then they can't choose when you shit. They can't choose when you piss. Like it's impossible for there to ever be 100% like bondage, like where one force completely dominates and controls the other. Like yes, there will always, if there's two things, then there will always be one that's kind of dominating the other, but it's only by a degree. You might say this one has 60% control and this one 40%, right? And maybe just that and alone may be enough to, I don't know, let's say win in a fight, a physical battle or something like that. But like you can never completely control someone else, right? See, this is what I'm saying. So it's relative. So you'll never be completely bound and you'll never be completely free either, right? Because as long as you are somewhat free and there are other individuals who are somewhat free and they have their own agendas which are opposite to yours, then see, there's always going to be some kind of compromise. And that's really what is going on in this system, is that everyone is compromising. Every single person within the system has to compromise for the larger system. Let me just think if there's anything else that I need to say. On that note, just as I am free to spin this check key, you are free to like, comment, and subscribe. See, I can't influence whether you like, comment, or subscribe. I can suggest it to you, but that's in your control. The government can't control whether you like, comment, or subscribe. See, you do have some degree of freedom, but you don't have 100% degree freedom. If you had 100% degree freedom, you could eradicate this video. You could eradicate this video from existence, but you can't do that. If you had 100% freedom, you would be able to fly, but you can't do that because you're bound by the laws of physics. See, even inanimate like objects and inanimate forces have like a, have a say. They're part of the equation. It's not even just only animate objects and other sentient beings. Like no, Even the laws of physics have a say. You may be free to lift 50 kilos or 100 kilos, but you're not free to lift 1,000. You're not capable of lifting a ton. And why is that? Because of gravity. You see, there's many things that are at play. And that's why you will never be 100% free in this life. But you'll always be relatively free. And you should always try and optimize your freedom. I'm not saying that freedom is bad or anything. Freedom is good. I love freedom. It's one of my highest values. But we have to be realistic. When we live in a society with other people, and when we live in a world with many other forces, animate and inanimate, forces that you may not even be able to see or sense, then 100% freedom is a pipe dream. La La Land. Don't get lost in fantasy. This channel is about truth, communication of truth. Again, like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your guys' opinions. Does that make sense? Anything you want me to clarify in the comments? What are your own thoughts? And hope you enjoy your day.